Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the From the Booth podcast. My name is Mike, and as you can probably tell by the title of this video and the thumbnail that I probably spent a lot of time making, we are going to be going over my top 100 prospects going into the 2023 NFL Draft. As you guys know, it's coming up fast, just like me. Pause. And it's at the end of the month, right? It's at the 27th. So we got about 3.5, 4 weeks, if my math is correct. So I did want to take an opportunity to give you guys my top 100 prospects in the NFL Draft, which for my mathematicians out there, that's basically the first 3 rounds with a little spillover into the fourth round. So just about half the draft. My top 100 prospects I'm going to be giving you guys today. I'm going to break this up into 3 different videos because if I did it all in one video, it'd be like 2.5 hours long, and a lot of you guys would click off, which is understandable. I only want to watch something for 2.5 hours if it's like a Marvel movie or something like that. So I understand if you guys wouldn't want to watch a whole 2.5 hour marathon. So I'm going to be breaking this up into 3 different videos this Friday, next Friday, and the following Friday. Now, the preceding Friday, the Friday after that, will be after the first round of the draft. The second round, and second and third round will be going on. So I will be making like a first round reaction type of video to that. But for the next 3 Fridays, including this one right here, we're going to be doing top 100 prospects going into the draft. In today's video, we're going to be covering prospects 100 through 60, so 40 prospects. So this is going to be a bit of a longer video. It's not going to be the 2 hour marathon that I was talking about earlier, but it's probably going to be in the vein of about 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to try to spend 30 to 45 seconds going through these guys. Next video will be prospects 59 through 26 in my rankings, and then the final video will be the top 25. As always, guys, if you guys have any problems with my list, or if you love my list, or if you have any opinions, make sure to let me know down below. I love hearing your guys' thoughts. And also, don't forget to subscribe. We're on the road to 100, trying to reach that by the draft, which I will be live streaming for those of you who do not know already. But all right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this list, guys. So I have all my note cards with me right here. I am going to be going in reverse order. I'm going to be going 100 to 60. So let's figure out the best way to set these up so I can quickly transition into the next one because I don't have time to fuck around. You guys got shit going on. Let's go ahead and get started. Number one, that is Dorian Thompson Robinson, the quarterback out of UCLA, 6'2", 203. Some of his positives: he's very athletic, runs a 4.56 40-yard dash. He's got a good arm, and he's very creative and elusive. Think of him in the same vein as you think of like an Anthony Richardson. And then, unfortunately, some of his negatives are he doesn't really anticipate a lot of throws well. He's got a bad delivery, kind of winds too far down. His arm almost goes, to where his hip is at. And then his deep ball is very inconsistent. All right, and then let's get into number 99. That is going to be Riley Moss, the corner out of Iowa. Now, I've seen a lot of guys project him in the second and third round just because of his blazing speed, which is true. But, he's 6'1", 193. He's very experienced under a well-coached team at Iowa. That defense was very good last year. He has 11 picks, and he's a really good jump ball contester. And the thing about Riley Moss that I think sticks out the most is that he's a white cornerback. I feel like I'm staring at a unicorn. We really just don't see white cornerbacks in the NFL anymore. So good for Riley Moss. He also is a plus tackler, I would say. I feel like sometimes he struggles to make up lost ground. Man coverage probably isn't his strength. You might want to stick him more into a zone coverage, and sometimes he's a bit late to turn on the deep ball. So one thing I will mention, you guys, is that I have watched a lot of film. I've seen a lot of videos. I have listened to opinions of a lot of people I trust in this industry, and this is kind of how I came to my list. So again, if you don't like something about my list, ask me about it down below, and I'll be happy to answer how I came to that conclusion. But let's go ahead and go into number 98. That's going to be Brian Young, the edge from Tennessee. He's about 6'2", 250 pounds. Listen, real good, ripped, athletic frame. He gets out of his stance really well. He's got a really good motor. He's got great hustle, plays like that. But I think he needs a little bit more refinement in his pass rush technique. I think a really good D-line coach at the next level could help take his game, to that next echelon. And he doesn't have a lot of bend, unfortunately. So his bend is probably not his strong suit, which is kind of a thing that is very important for edge rushers. So hopefully he can get that taken care of at the next level. Next, number 97, we have Zach Pickens, the defensive tackle from South Carolina. He's a big boy. He's 6'4", 291. He's got long arms. He uses his hands very well, actually, which is something really good that I think inside defensive linemen need to do. He's got good awareness for his blocking schemes. He is able to kind of anticipate when a certain blocking scheme is coming and is able to put himself in good position. I think sometimes he unfortunately doesn't stay low, however, and his bull rush isn't great, which is kind of something that you want for an interior defensive lineman. He doesn't have a great bull rush, but that's all right. Going into number 96, Eli Ricks, the cornerback from Alabama, 6'2", about 190 pounds. He's got good size, good length. He's really good in contested catch situations. He's not going to get mossed, as they say. It's not going to happen a lot. He's got a good jab. And obviously, playing for Alabama, he's a Saban DB, and Saban DBs have a really good track record in the NFL. Very well coached. They run a complicated defense there at Alabama. Obviously, they're going against really good talent in the SEC. So I think Eli Ricks has a lower bust chance than a lot of other DBs in this draft. Unfortunately, he's not great in run support. He can get a bit jumpy, and what I mean by that is he can kind of try to undercut routes or, try to anticipate a little too quickly. And sometimes he guesses wrong and it hurts him. Um, and he doesn't have much starter experience. But honestly, that DB room in Alabama is always so talented. So that's not a big knock on him, I think. But he will need some more experience in the NFL. Next, we have Sean Tucker, the running back from Syracuse. He's about 5'9", 207, so he's a little short. He's really compact. He does run very low to the ground. He's very physical. He falls forward more often than not, gaining extra yards. He does have good cuts on outside zone plays, cuts it efficiently. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't have great burst, and I think his pass pro leaves a good amount to be desired. With Sean Tucker, talking about running backs, I think this is a good time to mention that I had previously done a quarterback and running back ranking video. Some of those rankings might be changed just a little bit, nothing too drastic or anything like that, but just a little bit. So if you notice some inconsistencies with my running back video, that especially, then just that's why I've done more research this week to try to make my top 100 list, and this is kind of the reason I've changed some guys around. All right, number 94, Ronnie Hickman. He's a junior. I'm sorry, Ronnie Hickman Jr., defensive back from Ohio State. And the reason I say defensive back is because he plays safety, but he also played in the nickel a little bit. He's versatile. He's always, I've noticed, he always looks to force a fumble. He's looking to attack that ball to make a big play, which is, I think, a very good trait that he can take on to the next level. He does have a good back pedal. He doesn't, lose any steps in coverage with his back pedal, and I think his hips are fluid enough to transition. I think some of the negatives with him are his open field tackling is not great. Some of his pursuit angles are not ideal. And, he sometimes reacts and doesn't anticipate. And, the thing with defenders is you really have to anticipate what's going to come. And sometimes I think that he more reacts to what's happening more than anticipates what's happening, if that makes sense. Next, number 93, Tajay Spears, running back Tulane. Just talked about him in my running backs video. I'm not going to spend too much longer talking about him. But good production, averaged 7 yards a carry, and had 21 touchdowns last year. Good cuts, good vision. But some of the negatives, he's not a power runner. He does have some injury history with his knees, especially, and his hands aren't particularly great. So kind of just flying by Tajay Sanders right there. Number 92, Kendre Miller, running back from TCU, a guy I didn't mention in my running backs video. 5'11", 215. He's got good size. He's got good agility, good contact balance. He was very productive at TCU. But sometimes I think he runs with tight hips, not great in pass protection, and he's really not great at outside zone. So that's kind of the downsides to him. Number 91, we have Blake Freeland, offensive tackle from BYU. Guy's 6'8", 302. He's a big boy. Listen, this is a guy who's a team captain. He's a good character guy. Went to BYU. Good frame. Honestly, for a guy his size, he's a really good athlete. But he needs to get better in run blocking, and sometimes he has a bad anchor and can get moved off his spot. All right, let's go to number 90. Number 90, we got Jalen Jones, the cornerback from Texas A&M. Jalen Jones is 6'2", 200, so he's got good size and good length. His arms are pretty long. He does take good pursuit angles, and he fights to break up passes. So it's not easy to get a contested catch against Jalen Jones. I think he needs some more refinement in his technique. His speed is not great, and I think he needs some work in run support as well. Talking pretty fast, guys. I feel like Eminem right now. Number 89, Keyshawn Butte. I hope that's how you say his name because that pronunciation is just fucking cool. Wide receiver from LSU. He's 5'11", 195. He's got good size and speed combo. He's pretty fast. And he's not super physically intimidating, but he's a good size. He's pretty thick, and 5'11 is not a bad height. He does have a really good second gear, so once he kind of gets going, you will see that kind of shift in speed where he does get much faster when he kind of locks into it. And he does have really good yards after catch ability. He catches a pass. He's one of those guys that has the ability to take a slant like 40 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards, whatever, to the house. Unfortunately, sometimes I've noticed that he does catch with his body and not with his hands. And similarly, that's why he struggles with drops. And he has had ankle injuries during his time in college. So hopefully those don't come back to bite him in the NFL. These cards are sticking together. Number 88, we have Dorian Williams, the linebacker from Tulane. Listen, guys, not a great linebacker class, but I think there are about 4 or 5 guys in this class that are really good and that are worth taking, in the top three. No guys that I would really say in the first round, but I'd say in the second, third, maybe early fourth round, we could see about 3, 4, 5 linebackers come off the board. He's 6'1", he's 228 pounds, he's a team captain. He's got good instincts. He plays good in zone coverage. Um, I think sometimes though he does get kind of swallowed up by blocks, especially when a guard or a tackle will go to the next level. And I do think that he needs to put on a little bit more strength to play linebacker at the next level. All right, number 87, Luke Schoonmaker, tight end, Michigan. I hope that's how you say his name. Big dude, 6'5", 250 pounds. Honestly, for a guy that frame, he's quick. He does run block very well, actually. Michigan with Blake Corum last year, they ran the ball all the time. He actually does do a good job of getting space away from defenders. But unfortunately, even though he's 6'5", I think sometimes he does struggle with his contested catching ability. And, Luke Shoemaker is not a guy who's going to get you a lot of yak. So pretty much, just a big body tight end. Hopefully he can work on his contested catch skills a little bit. Next, we have KJ Henry, the edge from Clemson. He is 6'4", 250 pounds. Listen, this is a great character guy. I mean, every report I read said this guy was high character. So you really know that you're getting a good guy in your locker room. He's got a good speed to power combination. And I think one thing he does a lot that I noticed is he bats down passes at the line of scrimmage. So that's a good trait to have if you're a defensive lineman. Um, I think some of his negatives, though, I think, sometimes his hands could be a bit inconsistent. And I think he needs to command the edge just a little bit more, especially in the NFL where they are running a lot of, outside zone and read option with, those fast quarterbacks. I think he needs to command the edge just a little bit more for him to be a really quality edge rusher at the next level. Next, at number 85, we have Cedric Tillman, wide receiver from Tennessee. The Batman to, I would say, Jalen Hyatt's Robin. The guy's 6'3", 213. He's a physical wide receiver. He had good production against good defenses last year. Look at his film against Alabama. Look at his film against Georgia. The guy was really special. He is a tough wide receiver. Unfortunately, though, he did suffer some injuries in college. He might have lost a step with his speed. And his 2020, he was much better in 2021 than I think he was in 2022. Um, so that's Cedric Tillman there at 85. Next, at number 84, we have Tank Bigsby, the running back from Auburn. And I don't know if it's just me, guys, but I feel like that dude had been on Auburn forever. 6', 210. He's got a good frame. He's pretty tall for a running back. 210 frame, that's pretty good size. He's a really good short yardage running back. He breaks through arm tackles all the time. This guy's not easy to take down. Um, Fortunately, some of his negatives, though, is sometimes he has a tendency to bounce it outside. One comparison I would make for him, it's like the guy who plays basketball who's like 6'10", and all he does is want to shoot threes. It's like, no, dude, like go in the paint, go get rebounds, go, post up, go put it in, lay it in, whatever. That's kind of what his style should be, and he's kind of wanting to do the other thing with just bouncing it outside. He does struggle with fumbles sometimes. I believe he had 4 or 5 fumbles in 1 year and has not, had a lot of experience catching the ball, unfortunately. So pass catching might not be his best attribute. Number 83, we have Kobe Turner, the defensive lineman from Wake Forest. He is 6'2", 288 pounds. He's got really good get off. He's really strong at the point of attack, and he's really good, or he's really consistent with trying to punch the ball out of offensive players. He is a bit undersized, and his arms are a bit short. I think because of that, he might struggle with some double teams. So can he really, uh, guard the A gap? Can he, be a physically intimidating force that nobody gets behind? I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Number 82, we have Moro Ojamo, defensive tackle from Texas. This guy is 6'3", about 295 pounds. Really good lower body strength, really good hands, I would say. I think his hips are a bit tight. He's not very quick, So he's more of like a stopgap guy, and I think his technique leaves a little bit to be desired. But again, cannot complain if you want to have a big boy up front. Kind of the opposite problem that we just talked about. Number 81, Dwayne McBride, running back from University of Auburn. Um, we just talked about him. 5'10", 209. Good vision, good hips, good near the goal line. He's very, creative. But doesn't really have the pass blocking capabilities and doesn't really have a lot of experience catching the ball out of the backfield. So for that, I'd say Dwayne McBride is my number 81 prospect. Going into the top 80, we have Clark Phillips, the corner from Utah. This guy's 5'9", 184, so he's a little small. Because of that, he could have some trouble with bigger receivers catching the ball over him. Again, the smaller frame, and he does get flagged a good amount in college, and I think that's only going to continue in the pros because the pros are even more stingy. But he from all accounts, he's a student of the game, right? He got a great mind. He's a film junkie. He's always trying to learn and study up on his opponents. He plays very bold, and he reads quarterbacks very well. I think a perfect comparison. I saw this on NFL.com when I was doing some research. A perfect comparison for him would be Mike Hilton, an undersized corner with not all the physical tools, but a guy who, man, he just tackles. He knows the game. He knows his opponents. That's the kind of guy you want for your opponent. Next, number 79, Tucker Kraft, the tight end out of South Dakota State. He's 6'5", 254. I think he's got really good frame and athleticism. Obviously, this big body. He's got a really good catch radius. There's a lot of plays where he's catching the ball outside of him, underneath him, behind him, whatever. Unlike the guy from Michigan, he does have a good amount of yak ability, yards after catch. But his speed is not great. Playing in SDSU, he's not really playing against good competition. So how much of that is just weak competition? We won't know. And he does need to work on his route running a little bit if he wants to be a pass catcher at the next level. All right, number 78. We have Derek Hall, the edge from Auburn, 6'3", 254 pounds. He's got great character. He's a team captain. Everybody says good things about his character. He's got good length and good power, which are two really good attributes for an edge. And he's got nice fluid hips. Um, isn't particularly good in coverage, so if he plays kind of that outside linebacker role, he's going to be a liability in coverage, I think. Sometimes he's a bit slow reading some plays, and he is not the best in the run game, unfortunately. So we would have to work on that for the next level. Let's start with number 77. We got Carl Brooks, the defensive tackle out of Bowling Green. The guy is a big boy, 6'3", 303 pounds. Had really good production at Bowling Green. Had really good hand movement and feet movement. We talk about your hands and your feet working together. I think he did that very well. He's actually pretty quick for a guy that size. But his arms are a little bit short, and I think sometimes he tends to get a bit high, and let offensive linemen leverage him when they get down low and they can get below his pads. So we will see if he can work on that in the next level. Next, number 76, Trenton Simpson, linebacker, Clemson. Like I was talking about earlier, some of these linebackers I think are worth taking in the first, or not in the first round, but in the second, third, fourth, fifth round. This is one of those guys, 6'2", 235. Obviously, Clemson's defense has been good for a number of years now. He's versatile. I think he can play inside or outside. I would probably stick him at outside just because he's got really good speed. I don't know if he's as physically imposing as a middle linebacker really needs to be in the NFL, so I'd probably stick him at a Sam or Will linebacker spot. He has some really good reads. Like I said, his speed is really good. I think sometimes in Clemson, had some coverage mishaps where he was a bit either confused on who to cover, where to cover, type of thing. But I feel like that can be fixed with some experience. And then sometimes blockers, attacking blocks was not his strong suit, unfortunately. All right, let's go on to number 75. Number 75, we have Jamie Robinson, the safety from Florida State. Jamie is 5'11", 191 pounds. He's actually a really good run defender. He breaks very well on the throws, and he's versatile. You can play him at safety or nickel. I would prefer him at probably safety, but I think he does have nickel versatility as well. He's not super fast, and I think sometimes contested catches would get him, especially with those really big wide receivers in the league. But, again, I think that I'd probably have him at safety. Number 74, Rashee Rice, wide receiver, SMU, 6'1", 204. Obviously, good size. He's got a good combination of speed and length as well. and is a plus jump ball wide receiver. I think he needs to work a little bit on his route running, and I think press corners can sometimes get him off his route and sometimes take him out of the play. Number 73, Isaiah McGuire, defensive end from Missouri. Guy's 6'4", 270 almost. He's got a really quick first step. He's got good hips, and I put this in all caps because I want to emphasize it. Bull rush. He has got a very good bull rush move. This is a guy who that bull rush move is going to translate to the next level. Um, I think sometimes he's a bit undisciplined though. So he'll need to work on that at the next level. But I mean that bull rush is really good, I think. So number 72, we got Chandler Zavila, guard from North Carolina State. He is 6'5", 325, big boy, and as such, he's very powerful. And pass blocking, I would say, is definitely his forte. Um, I think sometimes he struggles staying engaged in run blocking, unfortunately, and I think he struggles against quickier, speedier, quicker, defensive linemen. Um, Number 71, Darnell Washington, the tight end from Georgia. The guy is 6'7", 264, which is just ridiculous frame for a tight end. Excellent frame, excellent physique, very powerful. He's got a great catch radius. I don't know if you guys saw at the combine, he had that one-handed catch that was just ridiculous. At Georgia, he could catch it behind him, in front of him, wherever. Really good. Sometimes his blocking, needs a little bit and leaves a little bit to be desired. I think his knees are a bit stiff as well for a tight end. So we'll have to see. Number 70, we have Anthony Johnson Jr., a safety out of Iowa State. Guy 6', 205. He's got experience at Iowa State, started a number of games. He's really good at recognizing routes. Um, and he can play hash to hash, and would really challenge some quarterbacks on those boundary throws, especially if he's playing in a cover two. I think he could get to the sideline quicker a lot than a lot of quarterbacks can make the throw. I think he needs help in run support, and sometimes his hips are a little bit inconsistent as well. Number 69, nice. We have Siaka Ika. I really hope that's how you say his name. The defensive lineman or defensive tackle from Baylor, 6'3", 335, big boy, uses his leverage very well, is fantastic in run defense, and I think that he's actually a pretty good athlete. This guy reminds me a lot of Vita Vea. But he's obviously slow. I think sometimes his technique could use a bit work, and his change of directions with cutting running backs. He's really just not going to catch him, unfortunately. Just because he's so large. Number 68, we have DJ Turner, the cornerback from Michigan. Guy's 5'11", 178. Probably needs to put on a little bit more weight. Really good athlete. He's got good hips. He's actually very physical after the catch. Doesn't allow for a lot of yak possibilities. But I think his length is a bit lackluster. And, being like I said, he's a bit small. He can get bodied by some of those bigger wide receivers in the NFL. Because you got to remember, guys, everybody in the NFL is bigger, stronger, faster, taller. I mean, that's just the thing. So some of those small frame defenders are really going to get a taste, really going to get a welcome to the NFL moment once they get up there. Next, number 67, we have Isaiah Foskey, the edge from Notre Dame. The guy is 6'5", almost 270. I think, his feet, and he's very agile. Those are two really good pluses to his game. And he's got special team upside, right? He blocked 4 punts at Notre Dame. So for a guy who is, sitting at number 67, probably going to be drafted in the 3rd round, I think he would have to make his way on special teams, probably. Probably not going to be a starter right off the gate. And I think if he can provide special team stability, he could be on an NFL team for a lot of years. Right? Special teams guys are very valuable. Sometimes, though, he loses his contained duties as an edge rusher, and his hands, I feel like, need a bit of work. Number 66, we have Jordan Battle, the safety from Alabama, 6'1", about 210 pounds. He's versatile, played a lot of spots at Alabama, was one of the, core guys on that defense for a number of years. He's very fluid. He is a playmaker. He does have a lot of plays. I think he scored 4 touchdowns during his time at Alabama. So, does have the ability to make a game-changing play. Like I said with Eli Ricks, Saban defensive back, that's always going to be a plus. They just have such a good track record in the NFL. I think some of his negatives, though, he struggles in run support and sometimes in open field tackling. But that's definitely things he could work on at the next level. Number 65, we have Devon Achane from running back from Texas A&M. Listen, this guy is 5'8", 188. I left him off my initial running back power rankings that I did, and there's a reason for that. But there's also a reason that he's much higher on my prospect list now. This guy is legitimately a track star. Like he has sprinter speed. If you give this guy a hole, he is fucking he gone, right? Super quick, super fast. Honestly, a part of his game that I didn't even recognize until just recently was I think that he does have a lot of good versatility as a wide receiver. I think his route running is actually very good. So he can line up in the slot and he can play, run those slants, those outs, those zigs, whatever you want. Um, but again, he's small, he's 5'8", 188. Can he, maintain punishment, maintain getting those punishment from those big ass linebackers? Pass pro is not his strength, obviously, given his frame. Number 64, Zach Charbonnet, running back from UCLA, 6 foot even, 215 pounds. He's a thick boy, thicker than oatmeal. He's powerful. He runs like it. And as he runs, he does pick up steam. Some guys, like I said, they get faster. They kind of have that second gear. He does pick up a lot of steam. But I think his instincts are a bit lackluster, and he does not have much experience catching the ball out of the backfield. So, got to watch out for. Number 63, we have A.T. Perry, who was one of my most underrated guys in the NFL draft. I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about him. I really like his film. I actually noticed him because of Brett Coleman, so make sure to go check out Brett Coleman. He put me on to A.T. Perry at first, and I've been watching his film, and I've been really liking it. Wide receiver, he's from Wake Forest. He's 6'3", 200. He's tall. He's got long arms. He's got good speed. He's got good feet. Something wrong with his game though is that he's a bit inconsistent. Sometimes he flashes real great ability, and other times he's nowhere to be found. Um, his blocking is lackluster, unfortunately, and he did have a lot of drops. He did have about 17 drops in the last couple of years, so we got to get that taken care of. Um, or else I think he could be a really good wide receiver at the next level. Number 62, Travis Hodges Tomlinson, the corner from TCU, 5'8", about 180 pounds. He's a great athlete. He ran a 4.41 at the 40-yard dash. He's really, really fast, scrappy kind of guy. He'll play with a lot of fire, play with a lot of tenacity and aggression. Um, he had 18 passes defense last year at TCU, and so I feel like especially playing in the Big 12, which is a pass-heavy league, he's able to break up a lot of passes, but able to make plays on the ball, and all of that. So obviously, though, being 5'8" and 180, really small, doesn't really anticipate too well. And he did have 14 penalties last season, so he's gonna have to get that taken care of. Hopefully, big body wide receivers don't absolutely dominate him. Although, sometimes being dominated isn't the worst thing in the world. Anyways, Garrett Wilson is my number 61 prospect. He's a corner from Syracuse. He's about 5'10", 192 pounds. Really good technique, really good physicality. He's a really good in tackling, especially in the open field as well. Um, doesn't have that kind of great long speed that you like. On a guy running a go route, you might get burnt. And then sometimes in contested catch situations, he is vulnerable. And then for my last prospect, my number 60th prospect, I feel like I need, some in my mouth because pause. Anyway, number 60, this is our last prospect of this video. And then we're going to be going ahead and calling it a video. Again, make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and let me know what you think of my full rankings down below. Number 60, we have Michael Wilson, the wide receiver from Stanford. He's about 6'2", 213 pounds. I think he's a really good route runner. I think he's a really good run blocker, and I think he separates very well and can get open. Those are traits that translate into the NFL. Unfortunately, though, does struggle with press a little bit. Isn't that experienced? Only 14 games at Stanford, and he did run a 4.6 40-yard dash, which is not fast at all by wide receiver times. But that's going to do it for my 100th to 60th best prospects in the NFL draft. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace out.